So today we're going to burrow deep into the world of omakase. So that's Japanese, kind of, you go to the restaurant, the chef has the menu prepared, you get what he's making, and it's multi-course. Two restaurants. One's called SHUKO, it's on 12th Street, West Village. Two Masa alumni that are amazing. Great New York Times review. I think they've been in business 3 or 4 years, 3 stars from the Times. They're on point. It's not cheap, but it's delicious. They sell it every night and it's worth it. It's like an adventure. Then we're gonna head over to the East Village to My Enoki, which is a newcomer. Much less expensive, under $100 for a 15-course tasting menu. And what I love about this place is that My Enoki is sourcing local, sustainable seafood, which is almost unheard of in the world of sushi, sashimi, and Japanese omakase. So that's it. 2 restaurants, a bit different than each other, but I love this pairing. That's today's show.
I'm Mike Colameco, industry insider. Been in the business my whole life, and I know what it takes to succeed. Each week we'll take you into real kitchens, filmed in real time. Backstage passes to a day in the life of chefs, restaurateurs, and their teams. The competition's fierce. Careers, life savings, and reputations hang in the balance. These are my people, and this is their passion. And that's what's next on Mike Colameco's Real Food.
Mike Colameco's Real Food is brought to you by the continuous, generous support of the following underwriters.
Extra virgin olive oil from Colavita, an Italian family brand.
Rachel Ray's signature specialty food line, designed for preparing meals at home.
My background is actually classic French kitchens, so went through a stage program. And then at one point when I heard about masa, I sort of turned gears and went and became a sort of an apprentice for masa for the past, till 2010. And it was combined about 8 to 10 years. And that's where we met.
So this is a sibling.
How many fish suppliers do you work with?
I think 5, 6 different.
You cooking school or no cooking school?
Actually, I never been cooking school, but I always do that at the restaurant. I was there at the Japanese restaurant, do the busboy, and then so I like his food. So always I help the chef to like clean the fish or bring the things to there, and after that the chef would let me try them. And I kind of I love it. So one day chef asked me, say, Jimmy, you interested to cook? And then start from there.
You got lured into the back of the house. That's funny.
Yeah.
Front of the house guy gets snagged by the chef.
Yeah.
Do you make anything with the frames? Do you make a fish stocks or fish fillets? Or?
Yeah, this one, if you grow a little bit, and then after make a soup very well.
Grilled first?
Yeah, grill first.
So take some color, okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Masa's just amazing. So Masa, when they were first doing the Time Warner, we were actually filming at the French Laundry. Thomas Keller was going to be in there, and I know Thomas was integral in bringing Masa onto that project. So, talk about working for him. What was your takeaway?
For me, it was a little overwhelming, and it took like years later to get some of the things that I was doing. It took some time for it to actually kick in. A lot of it was actually very based on like romance and seasonality, and looked at food not just for consumption, but a way of life, and again, color and art. Some of the thoughts took years. Like while I'm walking home, I'm like, oh, of course. It just dawns on me that it made sense, some of the things that he would do or say.
It's a sayori. Sayori is a needlefish.
Needlefish.
Yes.
Jesus.
So on the angle is different.
Yeah, this is a pain in the neck, chef. Holy mackerel.
But actually bone and dry it, fry it.
Delicious?
Very delicious.
This is so beautiful. The texture of this fish, you know?
Yeah, right.
Like firm and gelatinous and delicious. I love this, man.
So you guys will try that.
Head to tail and everything in between. With a pinch of salt. This is bar food now.
Yeah, this is
Bar
bar
snack.
food. Totally bar food.
Oh, man.
Now I want to drink.
That's the trouble. That's the truth. That's the problem. We're having this. All right. Where's my glass of booze? Oh, okay. I think that might come from the belly of a tuna. When did the two of you know you wanted to do something together?
I think it was sort of, we knew for some crazy reason that we wanted to do something. We didn't know what it was, and I think at that time, you know, people weren't like leaving kitchens and opening their own restaurants. It was like very daring.
It's basically it's from tuna,
Belly.
the belly, and this would be this side.
On the animal. Okay,
Yeah,
right.
on
The
this
right
side,
side,
see.
because it would be right. It's this
Yeah.
concave that way.
Yes.
I got it. Fish Anatomy 101.
I think we had the same reservations, and you know, it was just like swimming. Just had to jump in, and we took our conversations that we had during our lunch breaks and just our personal time, and that turned into something very serious and legitimate to the point where we decided to pursue it.
Can you do anything with that sinew?
This is sinew. We're gonna do the grill with the chili pepper.
All right, so this is quick grilled nigiri of sinew.
Sinew, yes. Is it enough spicy?
It's good. It's really, really good.
All right, so I'm gonna do the total.
All right.
Kimmetai. Kimmetai is a golden eye sea perch.
So you opened with this really ambitious idea of kaiseki, of extended tasting menus, omakase style, chef's choice. You're in our hands, which is kind of ballsy and not inexpensive. So we were setting the price bar relatively high and just hoping that it works. And cook for yourself, like what you like. Because how many courses is it like tonight? It's going to be 19, 20, 21?
Ish.
Ish, right? So it's in that range.
Right, and you know, there's a whole team that also executes it. So you know, we could have an idea, but doesn't mean that it will execute properly. So it literally takes a team to make things look seamless, and at the end of the night, the guest feels like they had a really good, seamless night.
Our typical pairing is a blend of champagne, wine, sake, and a little whiskey.
And glassware. You got him,
So, yeah.
got him to spring for these guys?
So Zalto glassware, hand blown from Austria. Really just like,
It's
hard once you start drinking out of these to go back to anything else.
But they're not cheap.
They're not cheap at all. So every time they break, it's like part of me dies a little bit.
Yeah, it's the sound you don't want to hear is that glass wreck.
No. And you can tell too, it has a very delicate break. It's a higher tone break. Yep.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
little twang. All right, let's not try to break anything. So what do you want to start with, the bubbles?
So let's start with bubbles. That's what we start with in our pairing. Very cool story. Young guy, about 34 years old, took over land that his grandparents owned that they were just leasing out to bigger houses, and then started making wine about 10 years ago. It is Blanc de Blanc, so 100% Chardonnay. It's the fun thing about this place. You get people that are pretty adventurous, and we'll kind of let you guide them, and it'll be like, listen, if you want to do champagne the whole time, it's going to really
It's hard to argue with.
pair well with your meal. Moving to a German Riesling, one of my favorite young producers. Riesling, another thing, you know, has a lot of preconceptions about it that I
Well,
also
wait a
think
minute.
is
Wait a minute. You worked with Paul Greco.
Yes.
So you have the tattoo, or
yeah. I think I have it at
Summer of
home.
Riesling all over
yeah.
your back.
What I learned from Paul, preach the gospel of Riesling here, just because I think it's amazing wine, and I think it's amazing food wine, just like
Amazing
the
food
champagne.
wine. Yep.
Another wine, I think you could drink the entire meal, you know?
So right now I'm gonna cut the cucumber with the Dungeness crab, make a salad with the tosaju sauce. Tosaju is kind of vinegar with a soy sauce.
like as a guy that had businesses, the day you open up the doors, you're like, is anybody going to come?
Right.
So, I mean, how did that go? Because you don't know. I mean, there's no window outside. There's no big sign. How did you do that?
Yeah, we didn't have a PR. We just sort of, we were in the Hamptons prior to opening, and so we had teams sort of out there getting ready.
What are those guys?
It's kiko flower,
Flower, little
chrysanthemum flower.
chrysanthemum.
Yes.
Somehow, some way, timing worked out where the summer ended and this was ready. So it was a nice transition. But yeah, just like anything when we opened, it was sort of like, okay.
Let's hope.
Right, it's like a party you throw and nobody shows up. And it's like, definitely had those kind of jitters for sure.
I mean, just oodles of fresh Dungeness crab meat. Delicious. And the power of the times is just undisputable. I mean, you could argue, when you were on the wrong side of that equation, you can argue all you want. But when you get a glowing 3-star review that starts with that one piece where you're asking me if I like it hot, and I'm like, yeah, I can do it hot. And it just you couldn't have written a better review. And that must have been just like, that's
Right,
bingo.
that you know, sort of ran across all the way to Fifth Avenue. I wasn't sure what I was running when I read it. I was sort of overwhelmed. You know, you can't really be ready for something like that.
So fast forward 4 years now?
We're going into our 4th year, yes.
Going into your 4th year, and pretty much on a regular basis. I mean, when I check, you guys sell out both seatings all the time.
Yeah, not bad so far, so good. So far, so good. But we're always sort of seeing how we could always improve in every facet of the service. You know, we just opened on Sunday for the first time.
Oh, you're doing Sundays now too.
Yeah,
Right.
just started.
Right, so that's
So
like,
no day closed.
Right, now it's like 7 days and
All right.
ongoing, and you know, it's like a machine.
So this is Sebring. We were,
First thing you cut when we got here.
yeah. So right now I'm gonna remove the skin. So this Sebring, I don't put the wasabi on that.
What's that, Chef?
This is ume paste, pickled plum. With a little bit sesame leaf.
You have no wasabi in this, so there's no heat. You can
Yeah.
feel the acid from the lemon.
The sesame, yeah.
Yeah, the shiso. And the fish is just, again, texture, super clean. I mean, really just polished and clean. Who is in charge of the soundtrack?
It depends.
It's really, I mean, the music was killer. Tribe Called Quest, John Coltrane, you know, The Woo, Miles Davis, like who? This is like my iPod on shuffle, like, but that sets the tone for the place too.
I think so.
So it's not so come in and bow and be
Right.
quiet, it's just sort of, you know, it's popping, people's heads are going up and down.
Definitely. You know, growing up in LA, music is a very, very big part of just growing up, and you don't even realize it. It seemed like happy times, good times, sad times, music was always in the background.
Yeah.
Just old school that way.
You did this great apprenticeship, you were both Masa graduates, which is the Harvard Business School of cutting fish and making correct tempura. And I just also just love the layers, because, you know, at Nakazawa, you're just eating fish, as I recall. If it's sashimi or nigiri, it's great, it's brilliant, he's wonderful. But here, it's like you're playing with meat, with vegetables, with broths. It's like you have this bigger palette to play with. And those are those leaves that you harvest in Central Park.
Yeah.
Tempura now.
Now it's tempura.
Yeah, I think, you know, Jimmy and I are sort of, we're not as boxed in. I think Nakazawa does a great job on what they do with the
It's a
sushi.
much tighter focus.
Right. And that also has challenges too, because, you know, the tighter it is, the target's a little harder to hit.
Yeah, no room for error
No
on any of that
errors.
stuff.
We have a great kitchen team, great staff that, you know, we're close to the market, so the team's very excited and made a commitment going to the Union Square like every day almost, well, the days that they're open.
Yeah, and this guy's picking stuff out of Central Park.
Yeah,
What's up with that?
Right, right.
If I see him down between Houston Street and the Medium, I'm gonna pull over.
Right.
All right, y'all. Let's focus. I got fish for y'all. This is fluke from Montauk. Chives underneath, white soy ponzu and olive oil on top, and Oregon sea salt. When Brianna eats this piece, she often says, the fish is dead, but the flavors are alive.
Always.
When I think of like sushi, sashimi, I think of all this fish that's flying in from Japanese markets, this market, and you guys are just taking the opposite route. Let's go local, let's go American, let's go sustainable as much as we can.
Yeah. This is, to me, as East Coast as fish seems to get, which is porgy.
Yeah.
One of my goals once I got in Uchi, and at Uchiko specifically in Austin, was to take over fish ordering. And so once I got to that level, I started researching everything that I was ordering. And once you do that, pretty quickly you come across issues of sustainability.
Chef, first course. I see avocados, I see olive oil, I see cracked pepper.
Yeah, avocados, not super original, but it's definitely not the most traditional beginning to a sushi meal.
Good, that's why we're here.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's right. And I don't know if you know this about Houston, but there's an incredible Vietnamese population.
Huge, an incredible restaurant scene. It's kind of ethnic and cool.
It is a ceviche with the striped bass that we broke down earlier. The Vietnamese.
We didn't see striped bass. We missed striped bass.
Excuse me, the black sea bass.
Black sea bass, gotcha.
I do know my fish, I promise. Black sea bass from Long Island. This is more Vietnamese flavors than it is a Vietnamese dish.
Gotcha.
It's maybe a 30-minute ceviche. Lime juice, Vietnamese fish sauce.
Ah, okay, that's your Vietnamese twist on
exactly.
this. So it says this beautiful acidity. You've got that fish sauce in there for a little bit of funk. You got the lime juice for acid. Those fried shallots is like that crunchy runs of Thai Vietnamese. Packs a lot of flavor in here. Bree, what are you going to do?
And so to go with this, I have a Chenin Blanc from Colameco Vineyards on the North Fork of Long Island. A little bit of a grassy start, and then a beautiful Meyer lemon acidity, and that classic, North Fork salinity on the finish.
Ah, that's straight up happiness.
It is.
When it comes to pairing, it was such a natural thing to use that kind of terroir from the North Fork, specifically the salinity that's kind of inherent in the wines there, were a perfect match for things like shellfish. So I like to think that the winemakers do all the work for me in that way. We do a lot from the Finger Lakes as well. I think some of those kind of mineral-driven Rieslings are really, really nice with seafood as well. Those Cab Franc rosés from up there as well. And then I think our favorite pairing has really been cider, which is something New York does so well. So we have a lovely cider from the Hudson Valley.
Well, I mean, they still have to pay.
Are you the first Omakase seafood-centric Japanese restaurant in the city serving sustainable seafood?
I'd say yes. If we're talking about the format of Omakase, absolutely. And I think, when we're comparing to other restaurants around the city, when we started this, we really wanted to make a difference in what we were doing. And we saw when we were operating as a pop-up, 4 or 5 years ago, that we weren't doing good to the oceans, we weren't doing good to the environment, and we wanted to find a way to make it better. So we tried to make this change where we can serve sustainable seafood.
It's almost a ceviche. It's a ceviche with a lot of Vietnamese flavors.
How'd you find the chef?
So
here's this guy wandering around like the Florida Panhandle in Texas, not exactly on the Williamsburg radar.
I will say, trying to find a sushi chef who wants to embrace sustainability is probably the most difficult thing to accomplish.
Non-existent worlds. That's not how they've been trained.
Exactly. So we basically scoured the country. We put ads out all over the country to find some sushi chef who has their heart in wanting to be more local, sustainable about how they serve sushi. And we got Jeff to respond to us. We started a conversation with him.
But I came across My Enoki, which at that point was still in pop-up form. Yeah, Josh and Dave desperately looking for chefs who were willing to take on the challenge of making sustainable sushi. And that was at a time when I was getting to a point with Uchi where I was satisfied with the work that I'd done there.
Right. And he knocked it out of the park. We really gave him the opportunity to spend a month of just exploring local fish here. And
it was an experiment for us too. Could we do this for a month straight? We'd always done like an event here, an event there, but it's different to actually 30 days in a row. Like, can we actually do this? And it gave us the confidence to say like, oh, we can maybe do this, full time.
Right. There are certain things that at this point, to the best of our knowledge, we're dependent on Japan for. Rice vinegar, that's something that the Japanese do better than everyone else. But where we can, we're bringing things in domestically. We just started bringing in the Brooklyn sake, Kentucky soy sauce, which is killer. It's aged in bourbon barrels. So now we have Kentucky soy sauce and Oregon wasabi, which I'm about to grate.
Cool.
So bit by bit, we're moving as far in that direction as possible.
This is the fluke?
Yeah, we're gonna make the fluke. We broke down earlier. It's from Montauk. I put the chives underneath with a little wasabi. On top, a white soy-based ponzu. And there you have Fluke sushi.
All right, Fluke. The chives are great in that.
Yeah.
They really are.
That's how I feel.
Because it's like this little sort of whisper from the onion family in a very non-assertive way.
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah,
chive here.
With a pretty mellow flavored fish.
Yeah, the chives are perfect in that. What was this before? Some guy was living here in the back on a futon or something? A homeless guy or
looks
what?
like it, right?
I mean, how many square feet are we looking at here?
It's about 400 square feet.
Yeah, my apartment's bigger than this, and I got a big studio.
You know, we wanted to keep it intimate. You know, I think we were trying to find a space that was, you know, reminiscent of what we were doing at the pop-up. So, you know, keeping it intimate, having, you know, 8 seats at a bar where they can converse with the chef, and also keeping it casual.
Your first raw scallop. Did I hear that correctly? Is this your first raw scallop? Me too. So Montauk scallops. I love a mouthful of scallop.
Me too. They come off day boats in Cape May. They cut those bags open. I eat them raw. To me, to cook them is criminal.
And then this one's going to get finished with a mixture of sake and soy sauce and mirin, and then a little extra Oregon sea salt. This is not to say that Japanese scallops aren't also good, but I do not understand why you're having like frozen Hokkaido scallops shipped in when...
We got babies like this growing off the East Coast everywhere. Yeah, the answer is no reason.
When people say, oh man, that's good, I always... My first reaction is to say thank you, but I can't... It's hard to take credit for a scallop.
It's tiny, it's intimate. You have 2 seatings a night. What is it,
6:30 and 8:30.
6:30 and 8:30. It seats how many total, 12?
8 at a time, so a full night is 16 guests.
Full night, 16 guests. So it's a super intimate, like performance base. It's omakase, so it's chef's choice. 14, 15 courses.
Yeah.
Under $100.
One of the goals of My Enoki is not just to make sustainable sushi, but to make it approachable. These shrimp are farmed in Newburgh, New York, farmed indoors in the basement of what used to be a mattress factory. It's a company called Eco Shrimp Garden.
I think they reuse all their water and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really a brilliant, they've been there for a while.
This is the 3rd iteration of this piece that I've done, always with the goal of making it taste as much like shrimp as possible, which is why I started torching it. It's mostly raw, and then the sear, so you get a little bit of that like kind of familiar grilled shrimp flavor.
What's the oil? What do you have?
Yeah, okay, so I make a shrimp head oil.
Just simmer, simmer, simmer?
Yeah.
That'll be like the shrimp flavor on steroids.
Yeah. You can't be too heavy-handed with it, otherwise it's all you taste.
What do you have, kiddo?
All right, so to go with your basement shrimp, I have from Rooftop Reds their 2016 rosé. So this is 100% Cabernet Franc. The grapes are sourced from the Finger Lakes. And it's very dry.
That's a beautiful nose.
And then also the benefit of the torch on the top with the shrimp mixed with the shrimp head oil gives that kind of like familiar summertime grilling feel that complements the shrimp really well.
This is really good. Whoa. Shrimp.
Yeah.
Basement shrimp.
Yeah, as a chef that cooks, and you like clean flavors, and you like to develop and cook, that's about as shrimpy a shrimp as I've ever had. Yeah, I mean, between that light torching and that oil, and the shrimp.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The atmosphere in here, like we try to keep it, you know, casual and light. And, you know, the dinners are very interactive. This isn't like a quiet omakase by any means.
Very much
it's
like
educational, you know.
Yeah.
It's educational, it's a party, and it's like every dinner is different because you're getting a group of people in here. So we source mainly from North America with a focus on the East Coast.
And you're in charge of the soundtrack.
I am, yeah.
Thank you. And it's a New York soundtrack too, which
it's
is
an all
kind
New York hip hop playlist. Yeah, trying to keep it as local as possible.
If we can get people to walk out of here and say, hey, maybe I don't really want bluefin, maybe I actually want blue fish,
right,
and that kind of trend picks up and people start to pick up on that necessity, we can only hope that we're changing people's minds once they walk out of here.
We've served, I don't know, 10,000 meals since our beginning. We've never served bluefin tuna. I think one time somebody has said, oh, there's no toro. Honestly, I think as restaurateurs and as head chefs, it's on us to introduce a new vocabulary, a new nomenclature to the customers, because we can't expect customers who are used to salmon, yellowtail eel to be like, oh, what else is out there? What else can I eat? And we can slowly wean ourselves off of this idea that it has to be yellowtail eel, bluefin tuna, like those things don't need to be served. And once we talk to people and say like, oh, it's endangered species, I had no idea. What do you mean it's almost an endangered? Well, it's down to 2% of its natural population. That's what we mean. And there's no need to eat it. It's just, there are plenty of
other things that are delicious.
Yeah, other things that are delicious.
You're good. My Colameco's Real Food is brought to you by the continuous, generous support of the following underwriters.
Extra virgin olive oil from Colameco, an Italian family brand.
Rachel Ray's signature specialty food line, designed for preparing meals at home.